Good morning, everyone. We are delighted to invite you all to the Indian ESG Network webinar. Today, we are doing this webinar in collaboration with Rightsource Global. We are honored to introduce our distinguished speakers, Mr. Kumar and Ms. Madhulika. Mr. Kumar is the visionary founder and CEO of RSG and Boardshire, bringing over 2 decades of experience in management. His distinguished career includes a significant tenure at Infosys, where he managed the Goldman Sachs account and worked closely with Narayan Murthy. Kumar was a key figure in the establishment of the Mysore Infosys Institute, demonstrating his capability in driving strategic initiatives. In addition to his role at RSG and Boardshire, Kumar serves on the advisory board of multiple global firms where his expertise in corporate governance and strategic development is highly valued. He's actively involved in leading initiatives that promote boardroom advancement and sustainability, striving to bring these critical aspects to the forefront of corporate practices. Through his leadership, Kumar is committed to fostering a sustainable future and enhancing corporate governance standards globally. Welcome, Mr. Kumar. We also have Ms. Madhulika, Dr. Madhulika. Dr. Madhulika is the co-founder and COO of RSG, Mindshare Consulting and Boardshire. As a tech professional, she has spearheaded various product developments in the tech space, showcasing her deep expertise in technology and innovation. Dr. Hetidi holds a PhD in mechanical engineering from City University, London, and serves on the advisory board of numerous manufacturing companies. She is deeply committed to sustainability and has launched numerous initiatives focused on ESG and sustainable practices. Her exceptional technical skills complement her leadership in driving forward-thinking strategies that enhance both technical progress and sustainable development within the organizations she collaborates with. Welcome, Mr. Kumar and Ms. Madhulika.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. That was a little long for a weekend.
It's nice to hear the varied backgrounds you both have. So a lot of experience will come and we'll learn a lot today. Yeah.
Thanks, Punita, for actually connecting us. Great to really talk to the group here.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. A very good morning. Hi, Mokshita. Thank you so much for the introduction. Morning, Punita. And hello, everybody. Thanks for joining the webinar. Kumar, would you like to share the presentation, please?
Yeah.
So today we are here to discuss, emergence of sustainability in boardrooms. So the agenda is quite simple. We'll first introduce what RSG has been into, and then talk a little bit about Boardshire, and then talk about the topic. And end of all of these, we'll give you a quick brief on what RSG has been doing to actually help boardrooms, specifically with independent directors, non-executive directors, and sustainability in boardrooms. And then we'll take the Q&A. All right. So let's begin with what RSG has been doing for the last 15 years. We started as a startup incubator, basically headquartered in the US, and used to take up the entire technology aspect of a startup, build the products, then get them funding, and then exit out of the board. So that's where our journey with the boards started. Right. And the way it has taken shape over the last 15 years. So while we were doing these startups and setting up global capability centers across the world, right, and also business incubation for that matter, we saw there was a lot of gap, mainly in the talent space, right? So that's where another initiative of Rightsource Global called Mindshare came into existence, which
வைத்திருச்சலா இருக்குதுப்பா போய் சொல்லிட்டு வந்து போட்டுட்டு அதுக்கு அப்புறம் போய் அடிச்சிட்டு போறானுங்கனாக்க எவ்வளவு அதப்பு இருக்கும் உங்களுக்குலாம்.
Can we request everybody to mute, please?
All right. Okay. So that's where our journey with people management and talent management actually started, where Mindshare Consulting is a sister concern of Rightsource Global, which entirely deals with talent management in itself. Right. Over the journey, we've built many products using technology, mainly in the recruitment space, edtech space. And then one project which I want to highlight here is over the last 13 years now, this is the 14th year now, where we've been working with Disney, where we built a product for them managing their entire waste, right? So Disney basically transforms their theme parks every few years, right? So theme parks have a lot of stuff and there's a lot of waste coming out of it. Now, how do you manage all that waste, right? So we basically developed a product for them where they could actually coordinate with all their carriers, where you dispose of the waste and stuff, and ensure that your landfill at the end is less than 5%, which gives them a green company award at the end of the day, right? Obviously, everybody wants to be in that space, calling themselves a green company, and we've helped Disney do that over the last 14 years, right? Apart from this, we've done multiple initiatives in the edtech space as well. In 2019, Boardshire, which is formerly known as Independent Directors Institute, and then later rebranded to International Directors Institute, where we, went global, basically started with the idea of bringing people onto boards who can actually make an impact by giving their, thing to the corporate governance, right? Okay. Right. So what exactly is Boardshire and how did it start? So when MCA and SEBI basically mandated for anybody to be as an independent director on the board, we thought, why not, get people who actually can give value to the boards and thereby building effectiveness of boards, right? So previously, if you really look at it, anybody who doesn't have a qualification to be on the board, or for that matter, anybody who's a sports person or a movie actor or a politician or stuff, basically was on board as an independent director. Or the other side of it is, like our subject matter expert calls it, it's a family run business. So Reliance is a family run business, or Tata is the family run business. End of the day, the boardroom decisions are taken by that particular person or the family in itself, thereby actually impacting a lot of, directly or indirectly, the economic growth of the country. A lot of scams happening. And then that's why the Companies Act 2013 came into picture, right? So in making sure that these things are actually reduced, there needs to be a lot of regulation, and that's what SEBI and MCA have been doing. So since 2019, there is a certification that came that is mandatory for anybody who aspires to become an independent director on a board. So we kind of came up with a course and a platform which helps people look out for opportunities on the board. So now, after doing that for a couple of years, we realized how sustainability is actually taking its shape within India and across the globe. And that's where our initiative for ESG, environmental social aspect of and governance, came into existence. And also the BRSR, which is India's framework in terms of reporting its sustainability. So we're doing programs and initiatives around this space. And what is the USP, if you really ask? Because we are always looking into technology aspect of things, be it recruitment space, be it educational technology space. We've always built products and people so that you basically build efficiencies through those processes by keeping the best people for what they do, right? So that's about Boardshire. Moving on to the next one, I think our journey so far has been really challenging and understanding, and we've been successfully, been there for about 15, this is our 15th year now. We have about 50 plus global clients and have delivered over 250 projects across the globe, and have done placements in both executive and non-executive roles, and have a network of about 4,000 plus professionals across the globe, contributing to a 40,000 plus training hours across our initiatives, in multiple dimensions, not just the boardroom sustainability, but other aspects of things, in making sure there is continuous professional development as well. Right. Moving on, I think we already had a long introduction about, both of us. I will not reiterate that, but yes, Kumar comes with over, 2.5 decades of experience and has closely worked with, Infosys in building their strategies and stuff. And he's an advisory on multiple boards and multiple startups. We've been working with closely a network of 10,000 plus startups across over the last decade. And I am Dr. Madhulika Ketari, and I closely work with Kumar in all these initiatives. Over to you, Kumar. I think you can start about, how emergence of sustainability is happening over the boardrooms.
Thanks, Madhu. Thanks for setting the context. All right. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, I should say. So let's, as Dr. Madhu mentioned, it's we work in multiple dimensions from a board perspective. Obviously, the first one being sustainability of late. It was corporate governance, but I think corporate governance has basically moved out, and we call it more like a sustainable governance is what we're getting through. And that's where what we see is the boardrooms are really getting reshaped because of all of these so-called ESG frameworks used across the globe, right? Very good to really, talk to the network of experts on ESG per se, but we really want to bring in a global perspective on how boardrooms are looking at sustainability, right? A lot of this work happens at the grassroots level, but I think there can be a lot more that can be done to really, make higher impact per se. So today we'll just go through some of the examples, some of the clients whom we worked very closely with, some of the marquee companies, whom we look, upwards to in terms of looking at what they've been doing. So we'll talk a little bit about, what exactly sustainability means in the boardrooms and what opportunities does it open up for all of us. That's what we'll talk about, right? So as we know that boardrooms are being reshaped. When we say reshaping, the main and core important of boardroom aspect is corporate strategy, and the core of that is being touched by the ESG aspects of it, right? For example, if you look at Unilever, right? So Unilever basically introduced something called sunlight dishwashing liquid, which essentially contains renewable and biodegradable foaming ingredient, which is called rhamnolipid, right? And it's a great example in terms of including both safety and sustainability into liquids. The FMCG sector, I would say, is the most prominent one because that's what touches most of the consumers in the world. So it's very important for companies who are in FMCG sector to really put their products across, in a more sustainable and biodegradable way, so that makes a more impact. So Unilever, of course, it's a behemoth in terms of providing all these consumables across the world in general, and they've taken a very small step. But if you really look at it, there's a lot more that can be done. A lot of opportunity from a scientific chemistry standpoint in terms of looking at biodegradable waste and the entire life cycle management of every product that has been built through, right from the sourcing aspect all the way to the final delivery, and also the end of life aspect of it, right? So very important, where if you implement the sustainability aspect of it on the corporate strategy, that impacts big time, and that's what everybody is looking at. It doesn't matter whether it's a services company or it's a product company. I think services companies look at more sort of an intangible aspect of what is the impact of social, are they diverse enough and stuff like that. But the core of why boardrooms are sitting through the corporate strategy is impacted to it. And now, unless there is sustainability across in every aspect of what companies are doing, it is not really taking them further, right? And of course, the enhanced risk management, right? As you know, risk management and compliance have to be very important for sustained growth across for businesses. Okay. I would want to basically, highlight Tata Steel's ESG initiatives here, where, they include energy efficient processes and waste management, thereby enhancing the risk management. What I see on Tata Group companies is amazing, right? Every small aspect of what has been done gets documented very well. gets reported across multiple subsidiaries of Tata, right? And they've been awarded multiple times. In fact, last year's Golden Peacock Award also went to Tata's. So all of their sustainability reports and annual reports are Bible to us. We look at all of these companies per se, look at how it is impacting through it. It's just amazing the kind of detail that they get into. The shareholder reports that get done are extremely good. So most of the time, what we end up doing is preaching this stuff at least from our standpoint. We look at all of these under the microscope. So there are always things to improve, even from Tata's perspective. But that's what we are here for. Right. So what we see is, if you have such attention to detail on sustainability, that automatically enhances your risk management, capabilities, and thereby, being in line with compliance required per se. And a lot of money actually, gets spent here. And the thought leadership in terms of what initiatives need to be done are very, very useful. And I think that's where the corporate are looking at sustainability professionals in terms of how do we impact it. So I think it's all about telling these little stories across, getting them through either social media or whatever it is, to make sure that you are actually making that impact at your workspace from ground up, right? Again, increasing transparency and accountability, as I did mention, Tata Steel, again here, the kind of disclosures that they have and on their reports and the kind of details that they have through makes things a lot more transparent in terms of how they are doing and how they can do better as well. I do see that in annual reports, Tata comes up saying that we should have, we are actually committing to really go this over a period of time. And that is not really, required by compliance perspective, but I think they go an extra step in terms of doing it. So we are very happy about that. I request if rest of the folks can actually go on mute. Mokshika, you can also turn them mute looking through. Thank you. So next example that I want to take really is Accenture, right? Again, a services company. Yeah, most of what they preach and deliver is more thought leadership perspective. But what I would really want to highlight from an Accenture standpoint is the diversity policies that they have across the globe really gives opportunity for a lot of small and medium enterprises to come participate in their growth. Okay, we've been fortunate enough to work with them closely, the US one, and that really opens up a lot of possibilities for small and medium enterprises across in terms of impacting through. And the company per se is very, open in terms of listening to suggestions from their partners. Okay, so really having a hat of a partnership mode rather than a vendor mode is what really puts Accenture onto the map in terms of what they get through, and they're doing a fantastic job in terms of really pushing sustainability in various aspects of projects that they do across, both the accounting aspects and also the management side of things, right? The stakeholder engagement also strategically includes, right? So the Unilever has a strategic, engagement that they call it as sustainable living plan. Okay. Again, FMCG can do a lot of wonders in terms of what gets through. Off late, what I'm also seeing is there's this food farmer. I don't know whether you've seen or not, a very good social media, sensation in India per se, who's really brought, the Bonvita onto the knees in terms of, looking through. Those initiatives really help, okay, in terms of increasing the stakeholder engagement across. And while we are talking about long-term value and stakeholder engagement, not sure how many of you have heard about Patagonia. It's really like a shoe company. That's where it started with, and they do all kinds of things right now, the apparel, the dresses and stuff like that. They really defined what exactly is sustainability through. So most of what they do is really impact on the planet. And they say that the only stakeholder in their boards is the planet. Okay, so it's all about, really taking the leadership role in terms of how do you really define how you'd want to see what you would want to drive through, and doesn't really matter what the size of an organization or, what revenues are we talking of, as long as we are actually marrying the sustainability aspect to the capital requirements of the thing, it goes extremely well. And I think that's what leadership really has to do. Tesla, I think there are pros and cons in terms of looking at it. EV markets are coming up. There's a lot of value that they're bringing in. There's also another side of the story where they're saying all these charging stations are still powered by, coal or whatever the renewable energy that we are talking of. But I think if you're again looking at these futuristic organizations, all of them have a heartbeat of sustainability through them. And that really changes what they are in the market space. Now, what exactly is driving, the things on sustainability in boardrooms, right? Obviously, the first and foremost thing is regulatory pressure. No doubt about it. Okay, all the regulatory bodies, whether it is SEC in US or SEBI in India, there is increased legislation across, with Paris Agreement coming in and all of those things. There's mandatory reporting, which has been really entrusted upon listed companies. But if you really look at it, the universe of listed companies is just very small. Just from an India perspective, if you look at it, we are just talking about 8,000 plus listed companies. Okay, which are talking about it, and SEBI really controls only them. The real good part, with India, where we do have little over 25 lakh, companies registered with MCA, which are actively doing business. We see that a lot of demand is actually there for sustainability in all of these boardrooms, irrespective of size of the company. Okay, though at this particular point in time, it is very sorry to see that regulatory pressure is what is actually pushing companies to think about sustainability. It's very important at the ground reality and the grassroots level where employees talk about what sustainability means to them as an organization. Okay, of course, the good part is investor demand has also increased quite a bit, right? The companies which are primarily into it, CFA Institute is doing a great job in terms of defining benchmarks in terms of what it means, in investing in a company, and what does it really mean to the end dollar that goes in to really make it a green technology, right? So there is definitely a lot of thrust from an investor standpoint, and there's also shareholder activism. That's up thanks to social media and all of those things, but it's really a fad and fashion to really talk about sustainability, and whatever works, whatever does the job, we should just get it done. Now, as I mentioned, consumer awareness did go up a notch. Okay, again, thanks to social media, brand royalty is really taking really great heights in terms of, again, driving from a purpose standpoint in terms of what we get on, which eventually reduces risks that are that we need to be mitigated either at an operational resilience level or any compliance related stuff. So really, if you really look at it, these are the key drivers that are really integrating sustainability into boardrooms. Right. Now, some benefits. We'll again talk about few stories per se in terms of how this is really helping through. Companies are finding competitive advantage across. Okay, I am taking most of these examples as global examples per se. These are marquee names, but you can still find companies even in and around you which are making difference. So there is a lot of competitive advantage that companies are getting through. Nike again, uses a lot of recycled material in their shoes. Very proactive in terms of innovation from a sustainable standpoint. They do have a long way to go, but I think there are other competitors as well pitching on from a sustainability standpoint, at least in this area. Not sure if you are following about IKEA. I think IKEA did take a lot of heat. In fact, there's a documentary on Netflix about how IKEA is really hurting the planet per se, and IKEA was forced to really look at sustainable living products per se. They've actually made a lot of changes in their sustainability. They've been finding a lot of market opportunities in terms of what you can put on your homes and offices per se from a furniture standpoint, and I think they've done a very good job in terms of turning around their sustainability story as well. Right. Apart from competitive advantage, we can drastically look at how these sustainable practices are impacting financial performance as well. Right now we are still talking about cost savings and long-term growth. Again, Walmart does very minor things, just like Tata's have done in India. They've basically changed all their lightings across Walmarts to LED, and their HVAC also has been changed quite a bit. And what we see is the kind of emissions that they've reduced from 2015 all the way now has been very drastic. Again, set a very good example in terms of how large companies can impact environment that way. Now, Google really uses this as a tool. Again, Google is a services company, not much is happening through. That's what we think. but all the data centers that we really look at, where all these things are working, are really, gulping a lot of resources through. Okay, so Google has implemented a lot of initiatives from a sustainability standpoint in all their data centers, and eventually what they've seen is they're able to attract talent at various levels globally, which is directly linked to their sustainability. We've also seen Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream company, really put a corporate culture in place from a sustainability standpoint, and eventually I think all of this leads to enhanced reputation onto the boards. Right. So these are some of the stories that I really wanted to share in terms of, what happens. Now, what are the challenges really, right? The challenge really is the top-down shift or the cultural shift that we call, which needs to come top-down from a leadership standpoint. Okay, most of these companies essentially have a lot of pressure in terms of performing very well on the markets. That really pushes them to a point where they're looking at their financial ratios very closely under the microscope and all of those things, and really sustainability goes for a toss. And I think boardrooms have to really mature a lot more in terms of really putting sustainability aspects on top of performance numbers per se. But there is definitely a resistance to the change, from the boardrooms, and as I mentioned, it needs to come from top down. Whenever you're taking such initiatives, there's also a huge lack of expertise in terms of what sustainability really means, right? And that's where we see that there's a lot of opportunity across the globe in terms of sustainability professionals, what they can bring on. And I think that's where I really want to take our discussion today, in terms of what professionals, how can they really contribute, and how do we really work together to improve the skill overall in terms of sustainability standpoint, right? Again, comes down, one of the examples that we've seen is a financial services company, again US based. Okay, when we do assessments across, we just see that people don't even know basics of what it means to the planet. Okay, and that's where I think a lot of education is required from the top down approach. Again, I think it's not just about education, it's about also giving them the right tools which help them make those decisions. Once you have the information, only then you're going to be able to make that impact top down, right? And whenever we again say, right, countries are still looking at, how do we quantify this? How do we integrate this across multiple things? We are talking about multiple frameworks. I'm sure all of you might be knowing various frameworks that are available on the globe per se. Okay, GRI, of course, is the heart of everything that gets to. I think all frameworks really, were born out of Global Reporting Initiative. Very good, but it doesn't quantify anything. Most of it is a nice to have thing. You can qualitatively just tell what you've been doing and how you're impacting the planet, but it still doesn't quantify much of the things. Okay, though US is the forefront in terms of technology standpoint, they talk a lot about it. A lot of investment, I would say over 40% of the green technology investment goes to US, but I think they are the ones who are, really polluting the planet more, right? So again, green technology in terms of what needs to be done, a lot of research, is still pending through in that area. And of course, there are a lot of opportunities coming through. But really, these three are the key challenges which are really hurdles for sustainability really doing its job onto the boardrooms. That's what I really see, right? Now that we've talked about problems, let's really talk about some of the solutions out there. Just a ray of hope in terms of what leaders in their respective markets are, sort of doing through, right? If you look at, again, Unilever, right, the same example that you get through, they've got sustainability living plan open through an FMCG, very positive impact from a society standpoint, reducing the environmental footprint across various FMCG goods that they sell, right? That's all coming through. Now, Google, we spoke about, their data centers, how significantly they've reduced the carbon footprint and the operational cost by managing them more efficiently. So that those technology advancements really help you in terms of managing these things much better, right? Global alignment per se, if you really look at it, Microsoft, again, has committed that by 2030, they're going to really go carbon negative, okay? At some point, I think, we should probably have another discussion in terms of what do you really mean by carbon negative or carbon neutral or a net zero perspective. I think people have a lot of misconceptions across it, but that really calls for a big discussion. Okay, but here what I really want to put across is companies have taken this bold step in terms of committing, saying that by 2030, we're going to really go carbon neutral or carbon negative or whatever it is. And I think these are some of the bold statements, some of the great opportunities that where sustainability professionals can really jump in and, really take that as an opportunity. And we'll talk that in a bit, right? As I mentioned, investment space is really getting tightened up from a green investment standpoint. BlackRock, again, is a classic example, the biggest company with largest number of assets under management, again, prioritizes sustainability on their investment strategy and expects companies to really have disclosure on various fronts. And what we've seen, as Madhu was mentioning, we do, work a lot with startups. And the very good part is I really see that the new age startups are very conscious about all of these. Okay. There are these, boys and girls who are coming with great ideas per se, but I think the kind of, innovation that you have on the ground, very small steps, but they're going to be huge impacts. And I think that these startups, if they have, a thinking hat, I would say the green hat here, if they have like that, that will really help them in terms of making the impact. Thereby also, help raise capital also, which is much needed across, right? Patagonia, I really suggest, just go search for Patagonia on Google, and they're all over the place. And I think the bold statement in terms of saying Mother Earth being only stakeholder in their boardroom says it all, right? But again, very, very passionate about, how they're getting through. They are actually involving a lot of volunteers globally, right? Just yesterday, when I was preparing for this, I was looking at their website, and I just filled a form saying that I'm based out in Hyderabad. And this morning I get a message saying that you can participate in a volunteer, program that is happening in terms of helping save Earth. And it's just amazing, right? So I think the kind of ownership that they have taken through very small steps, I think they're not impacting really much in India, but I think very amazing in terms of what they've built out there. So I definitely encourage you to look at what they're doing, from a sustainable standpoint. Now, how exactly can we empower these boards, right? First and the foremost thing is training, and training, right? I think that's what we are currently riding the wave per se, the continuous professional development, really educating the entire organization, not just boardrooms, right? The entire organization on what sustainability means to them and how they can impact the room. There can be small projects, there could be big ones, doesn't matter what it is. I think the impact is going to, grow very slowly, but I think the quantum of impact that will get through when you take these steps really multifolds and really impact on the ground for companies. So I think the first and foremost thing where everybody needs to put their heads together is training and continuous learning, no doubt about it, right? And of course, the kind of opportunity or the problem statement that we have is huge and humongous, right? Unless we've got right collaborations going on, we cannot really make the impact. And this is really need of the hour. And what we also see is boardrooms are very open, right? Though it's a competitive landmark, something like this can be shared across very well, right? How sustainability can help boardrooms bring in a lot more competency. Some of the things that we've talked, before, I think collaborations are important, in terms of fostering that innovation that is very much required. And I think as sustainability professionals, we all should take a leadership role in that. I really urge that you are in the right, position to really take those steps across wherever you are, whether it's social impact or the environment per se, right? The reporting frameworks, I would say, are still not mature. Okay, we can really give a lot of thought process in terms of what these mean to integrated reporting. When I say integrated reporting, just an example where India has embraced, what we are calling it as BRSR, all of you might be knowing, the business responsibility and sustainability reporting aspect. And I'm very proud to sort of say that we've taken a leadership role here. The reason why I say that we've basically had quantifiable, reports that we adopted through far better than GRI, SASB, and TCFD across. So BRSR is amazing. Okay, in terms of how we are quantifying things and how companies are actually really benchmarking themselves and getting onto this, continuous improvement path and committing through, just like how, Tatas and Wipros have actually committed saying they're going to be net neutral, carbon neutral by 2030 and stuff like that, right? But if you really look at a holistic approach in these reportings will really help. Okay, and I think there's a lot of scope in terms of innovation, in terms of how we can report these things far better, right? Again, I don't know whether we had discussions about Paris Agreement in detail, but I think that does call for a lot of thought leadership in terms of how can we really integrate these reporting and strengthen accountability of what we're talking of, right? Now, yeah. So again, most of what, when we are talking about these problems, our liver really is technology, right? Looking from a technology standpoint, I think the reason why we would really want to, talk more in terms of problem statements is we can use a lot of technologies to provide solutions, okay? But professionals don't know such thing exists or, do whatever it is. So it's very important to really see what sort of a technology landscape is there and what it really means through from an opportunity standpoint. So there's IoT, if you're really looking at it, any resource that we are using, our subject matter experts actually call them as Panchabhutas, right? How we really use all the 5 elements across. So it becomes very important for us to really monitor these resources and manage them very well, right? And when you're talking about monitoring, measuring, and managing very well, that's where the whole IoT of things come into play. Right? Huge potential. And I think that's the main thing that is actually driving the sustainable practices in terms of promoting all the things that are required through, right? So IoT is a big wave, right? Followed by IoT, of course, AI and ML. We are talking about AI all through, okay? ChatGPT, which is really riding the wave, is actually bringing down environment a lot. Okay, the carbon footprint on every search that you make on ChatGPT is humongous. Okay, so there is again a lot of need in terms of how do we reduce those greenhouse gases emissions? How do we really optimize logistics? How can we develop more efficient and effective sustainable solutions on through there is all, catered in this. A lot of services are there. We ourselves are, getting benefit of a lot of services from an AI/ML standpoint. But what I really want to discuss as a group here is a lot of collaboration is required, right? We don't want capital to be a big issue in terms of implementing certain things. And I think we should really act smart in terms of how do we collaborate and get these solutions to the market very well, right? Now, cloud computing, right? So again, cloud computing, as we've talked about Google, a lot of things when we say are on cloud require huge data centers, okay? And all of these data centers are leveraging a lot of resources across, okay? The modern new age data centers work a lot more efficiently, both in terms of carbon emissions and energy consumption that they've gotten through. But still, I would say 60% of our data still sits in traditional contemporary data centers, which are actually moving, from one on to other. Not sure if you've heard about digital twins, right? So digital twins really is mimicking what you really have on the ground on the digital world, okay? And implementing most of these things on the digital space really helps companies maintain a transparent platform in terms of tracking what they are doing to ensuring compliance across and also seeing what impact through, okay? We've seen that digital twins being implemented a lot in oil wells, the power generation plants, all these oil companies per se. So anything that you sort of do, there is a digital twin to all these factories very well. And more efficiently you build digital twins, the better it is from a sustainability standpoint, right? So again, that's also leading a lot of technology innovation in terms of building digital twins for companies on the ground, okay? It is not that difficult for you to really build a digital twin as long as you have a right tech partner. But I think having something in place to measure what you've gotten through, at least from a corporate standpoint, gives you a lot of levers to see how's your sustainable journey. Okay. Blockchain and edge computing. Okay. Again, I think these are technologies which are going to be more emerging in nature, but it's very important that while we go onto this cloud, there's a lot of threats from a security standpoint, okay, that eventually impacts ESG for sure. So it's very important for us to be very conscious about the risk that we have and the exposure that we might have in terms of promoting trust across, right? And for that, we use technologies like blockchain and edge computing, where we decentralize a lot of these data, and manage practices much better. Okay, so a lot of what we do on boardrooms work across multiple dimensions like this, right? One of the dimension being the sustainability practice, other dimensions being risk management, compliance, how to really build digital solutions on to make it a lot effective and stuff like that. I think the landscape of technology that I wanted to really show was there's a vast, area of technology that are available for you to really work on, right? So if you really have any, I would say, solutions that you have in any ideas that you've got, which might help on a longer term basis, reach out to companies which have exposure to technologies like this, and you'll be able to really build something very valuable. Now, just to summarize, I think I've spoken a lot about how it impacts per se, but the key drivers really are environment awareness and concerns should be focused very well. These are the prime drivers which are driving it through, right? Government initiatives, for low carbon policies are rising for sure. So companies are going to come under the purview, no doubt about it. Consumer behaviors are changing a lot. Industrial interests are also changing to move towards clean energy and conserve, environment per se. And there's a huge demand, as I mentioned, for AI-driven recycling technologies across, which do call for a lot of green innovations and sustainability across. So these being drivers, the unfortunate, challenge is that there are still high cost from a deployment standpoint. A lot needs to be done in terms of reducing, the dollar amounts of what it takes to really implement these sustainable solutions. And I think that's where a lot of, focus is also there from an innovation standpoint, right? And we still lack a lot of, environment, both digitally and physically as well, right? So these are really the barriers for us to really take these, further. But from an opportunity standpoint, as I mentioned, climate change and air pollution, these are rising initiatives across. There is definitely a lot of opportunity in adopting these new age solutions, what we're calling TOS, not just from a products perspective, again, services as well, right? Transforming your IT and telecom infrastructure, getting to the low carbon footprints. And of course, there are always challenges, when we get through, and that's why people like us are there, right? All you sustainability professionals out there, these are the challenges that we have to be very cognizant about, okay, and really work very smartly towards, addressing these challenges. Now the good part, right? What is in it for us? If you really look at it, the overall sustainability market as of 2024, is essentially, I would say, the size is about close to 30 trillion, I would say. Okay. And by 2030, I think gradually over a period of time, I think the opportunity size that we are talking about is close to 135 trillion. Okay. That is a staggered 30% growth year on year. Okay. And all of this is opportunity for all of us in the group. When I talk to senior leaders, it's very important, for us to really look at what pie are we talking about. And the good part is most of that, thing is driven by Asia Pacific. Okay. Why Asia Pacific? I think impact wise, it's going to be a lot more, right? India has already taken a leadership position out there. But what I really see is sustainability is going to be the next wave of outsourcing. And that's where I think India does have an opportunity. Okay. We are just not talking about, having sustainability, requirements only for Indian landscape companies, but we're also talking about having sustainability teams sitting in India and providing solutions to companies across. Okay. So very important, for us to really have a rounded, perspective of various frameworks which are used across. I think we should really be talking about global opportunity and not just India per se. Okay, the reason why I say global opportunity is adaptation of all these technologies and reportings is far better in West. Okay, why? For obvious reasons. I think they are the ones which are doing the maximum damage, and everybody realizes that. I think that's where the opportunity comes in. That lot of dollar amount will come from there. And that's what will open up a lot of possibilities in sustainable space. And we are really banking big in terms of working very closely with network of sustainability professionals across. And when we talk to boardrooms globally as well, we go as a cohort. We just don't go as a company, because there's very less that we can do when we say just about Shire or a Rightsource Global and stuff like that, right? And if you've really seen that when we talked about 4,000 plus professionals, these are professionals who can roll up their sleeves and really impact with their specialization. right? So I really urge you, to collaborate in various forms. I really like, what Punita is doing out here. I think doing a lot of collaboration, thought leadership is very important for us to understand what are the solutions out there and how do we really approach to these opportunities that we have on the ground. So I think I've talked a lot about it. Over to Dr. Madhulika now. She's going to talk a little bit about how is it shaping the cross-border thing, because she's really leading those initiatives. So Madhu, over to you.
Thank you, Kumar. That was really insightful presentation, Kumar. I hope people have enjoyed. So, coming back to what Kumar was talking a little while ago in terms of the challenges and stuff, right? So, I completely believe that, sustainability practices need to be driven top down, right? 90% of the time when you say sustainability practices, people only talk about the environmental effects of it, right? You say what's the effect of it on the mother earth and stuff like that. But when you say sustainability, and all of us know that it's also about social equity or the economic viability of whatever you're doing. So, going back to Newton, right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I think whenever we do something, be it, right from our house or kitchen to the boardrooms, we'll have to ensure what effect or what impact does it have on sustainability, right? So we drive a lot of initiatives across the globe, right? And there are quite a few things that impact when a decision is made in the US and the effect is actually in India, right? So the sustainability practices need to be considered from one region and make sure that the impact of that, it's not just taken care of in that region, but across the borders as well, right? So that has been, quite challenging for many of these companies. I don't remember, the name is not coming to my mind right now, but there has been a documentary on this as well, where the waste of one particular company in the, Southeast Asia has been dumped in India, right? And obviously, to increase their green footprint, they're actually decreasing that of another country, right? So navigating through various aspects of these environmental, social, and governance regulations across various countries, all these require a strategic decision, right, driven right from the boards, and you probably have to adapt all these sustainability initiatives not only from your cultures and stuff, but also make sure that it adapts across multiple local cultures and practices, so that you bring effectiveness and relevance to it, right? So moving on to the next one, so what are the strategies that you can actually implement to bring cross-border sustainability? International standards adoptions. So right now, so we've been using multiple frameworks. So I use BRSR, you use SASB, somebody else uses something else, but there should be one particular framework or so which kind of adapts particular standards across all the regions, so that you maintain that thing across borders, where you maintain the sustainability practices across borders and is not impacting our ESG, I mean environmental and social aspects, and this needs to come through governance, right? Regional compliances, so understanding what the regional compliances are and making sure all your stakeholders actually collaborate. So most of the time what happens is either the committees or boards are actually taking the decisions, and lately I think sustainability teams are also coming into practice, so involving all of them, involving people from across other countries or cities and states to understand how this is actually going to affect you when I do something here is very important. And obviously collaboration and alliances are very important for this. So how we've understood what the challenges are so far in sustainability and stuff. So, and what do we bring, right? So so to implement a sustainable, practice, right? So we need to make sure that there are professionals who actually understand what sustainability is. So for that, training is very important, right? So continuous professional development has been, we've been hearing this word CPD for over a decade or more, or forever, till now. But it is very important to learn the right things at the right time, right? Jack of all has been one thing that everybody understand, but I think at this point in time, everybody has to be a master of sustainability. See, sustainability comes right from your kitchen. So, segregating your waste, that itself is a sustainability practice, right? So if you're running it from the boardroom, so we need to have independent directors or non-executive directors or board of directors, whoever are there, who actually are the decision makers, to understand what is the impact of sustainability on various aspects of life, if you can really say. So we have tailored content which actually helps professionals understand sustainability. We've been partnering with multiple subject matter experts. Kumar was also mentioning that people like you who are a part of the Indian ESG network, Punita, and everybody else. We would like to synergize with you and understand how you can make that impact. We've collaborated with subject matter experts who take master classes, who take interactive workshops in terms of understanding sustainability and the reporting frameworks across the world. We've started with BRSR for India, but going forward, we would be doing TCFD, GRI, and SASB as well. So ongoing education is something that, again, the continuous development. So if you don't learn, you're obsolete, right? And then the knowledge sharing that comes into picture. So there is one thing which never reduces when you share is knowledge. It can only increase when you share your knowledge. So I think these things, if you actually put into your, not just from the boardrooms, but in your daily life, it's going to ensure that sustainability implementation across various aspects in your house or in the boardroom or in your office actually, increases. Right. So our program in itself has, so we have two sides of the coin, right? So now we are talking to you as individuals, but on the other side of this, we also talk to boards, right? So what do we do? So if you see our tagline, so we have enriching leaders and effective boards. So that's exactly what we actually do. So we talk to boards in terms of building their effectiveness, not just in sustainability, but all other aspects of it. So you have multiple committees under the board. So be it on the financial stuff or the sustainability stuff, or, just managing all the stakeholders and stuff. So we have training programs to develop skills and build professionals who are actually can be on the board. So that is our individual customer side of the thing. And same thing, other side of the coin is what we do to the boards by bringing effectiveness to them, and providing resources and support to help boards implement ESG initiative, just like what we've done for Disney. If you can see, we've helped them build a product, making sure that they've been a green company, at least in that particular theme park that we've implemented for over 14 years now. And through strategic partnerships, right? So setting the standards of excellence in board governance and sustainability through education. I think it's very important that people like you actually come and make sure that you share what you have and make strategic partnerships with people like us. There are multiple, players across the market, talk to them, see what you could do, and bring out the sustainability aspect of what we have within each other to the world. Right? I think, and this is, I think, the last slide of our presentation. So I'll just simply talk about what we can actually offer you here. We have ESG and BRSR training for individuals. And also the main part of this, when it started in 2019, was to actually train people to become part of boards, that as an independent director or a non-executive director. So there are tailored programs for you to be on the board and take strategic decisions. And the the program goes like this. It's basically first get you certified in terms of being a independent or a non-executive director, and then make sure that your social quotient is increased by doing some kind of a social activities with you, be it interviews or writing some articles, and then actually looking for opportunity assistance in terms of placing people like you on the board. Right. So apart from this, the sustainability practices have, ESG training for board members and any other key stakeholders. Like lately, you're having sustainability officers, and there is a separate sustainability team. And then strategic workshops. See, every board has a different need. So if you are in a construction company versus you are doing a product development in AI ML, your needs are very different. Right. So we're going to talk through and understand this. It's basically like a feasibility thing that we do by doing the strategic workshop with sustainability teams. And then I think most of you who are part of Indian ESG network already know the ESG reports and the compliance reports and all these frameworks. So we do master classes for all those frameworks. I would suggest if any of you would, are interested in partnering in terms of actually giving out the knowledge by explaining what you know in terms of all these frameworks, please feel free to reach out to us. And I think the cherry on the cake for us is the technology, right? So we've been technologists, we eat, drink, live in technology. So anytime a problem comes, our solution towards that is always towards technology. But now I think one other thing is added to it is sustainable technology, right? So I would say if you can actually come to us and see how we can actually collaborate and bring effectiveness to sustainability. Right. So that's all from me. I think we'll take Q&A from Nawan Kumar.
Yeah, one note that I want to add. Of late, AI has been fad all over, right? So everybody's saying AI. And what we are, fadding is we are telling everybody sustainability, right? So we are AI experts, but saying that AI is not going to take you there. It's essentially sustainability, which is the board which gets through. But anyway, I think we've spoken enough. Over to the team for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar and Dr. Madhulika, for such an insightful presentation. We would like to open the discussion to our audience, and anybody who has questions for our speakers, please raise your hands and we'll take the questions one by one.
So I just would like to add, I think very well covered, because you've taken us through real practical examples of companies. And I think that gives a very, and I was searching about Patagonia while you were speaking, and I love reading sustainability reports which are genuine, not greenwashing. So I think when we see practical live companies since 30 years, 40 years already being sustainable, there's a lot we can learn and take to the boardrooms or the committees or the teams we are working with, because they've already achieved it. So it's not something which is like a wish come true. It's actually possible, and people have achieved it in everyday life. So I think those practical examples will really help us now look at those companies. Unilever has been one of my favorite, and Tata's always. So I think those examples came up also. So very well covered. And while a lot of sustainability professionals, they do complain, that they get a lot of resistance from the board, from the teams. As Dr. Madhulika covered, knowledge is power. I feel once you have the knowledge, and which sustainability professionals have, how to convert it into business is what, where we may lack somewhere. And that's the part we all need to gear up more. So we have the sustainability skills, but to convert it into strategy, to execution, I think that's where we all can enhance more and create our place also. So I like the way you both covered and complemented on various aspects. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can take questions. Yeah. So anybody has any questions, we can take up, or you can type there. And
so I want to add one thing there.
Yeah, sure.
What I really see is most of the companies initially were doing ESG as a part of their CSR. Okay,
Right.
we went out and told them, saying that ESG and CSR are two separate things.
Right, true.
Okay, and
no, they were seen complementary, right? People were using the word as if, it was the
exactly.
same.
Exactly. So I think we are encouraging companies to really go out and have sustainability committees, just like any other committees attached to the boards, right? So
Sure.
there's audit and finance committee onto the board. There's risk management and compliance committee, right? There's a stakeholder relationship committee. So there are the 4 or 5 standard committees which always go on the board,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a practice very soon, right? We can see
Yeah.
that on the ground where there are going to be ESG committees onto the thing. So I
Right.
strongly encourage, all of you folks to keep your eyes open, network quite a bit, because you're going to be a great addition to the sustainability committees. That could be a first step towards the board. But I think the more impact is going to be if we have more sustainability professionals onto the board. I think the impact is going to be very high. Okay, and these are non-executive roles, so you don't really have to commit a lot of time as well, right? As long as there's no conflict of interest between the current activity that you do, whether it's a full-time job or whatever it is. I think if you find out a right purpose-based role onto these, boards as a non-executive role, it really does a lot of impact. Okay, and there are always, communities like us which will make enough noise to make sure that you exist. And so I really encourage you to share stories. I think it's very important for us to tell these stories, no matter how small they are. I think small stories actually sell better. Right. So it's very important for us to, really have bit-sized stories per se, and put them across, just to tell people that, companies can also do this, a lot more actively, and then be part of the revolution. That's what I think.
I think,
And I
Kumar,
think boards also wants to, I think board also wants to learn. So
Yes.
gradually they are being receptive to, okay, what's this new thing which is hitting us and why do we need to do it? So I see a lot of inquisitiveness coming from that side too. They really want to understand what is sustainability. So professionals who understand the subject can really enhance them also in terms of understanding and implementation.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the more we talk, the better it is. And we can create all these environments, just like how Punita, called us in here, when we are doing our cohorts and workshops and stuff like that, it's always better for us to, pull one of you guys in, where you can talk about what you're doing and how you're impactful and stuff like that. And again, I think the core thing that really, I would urge you is if you have any ideas in terms of digital disruption, let's talk about it. I think that's the need of the hour. And I think collaborative innovation is what is very helpful. And we can see where we can put it on. But given that you are the subject matter experts, I'm actually looking forward to have more such interactions like this. Thanks a lot, Punita.
Sure. Thank you.
We have a question from one of our audience members. So Ms. Gitanjali Chatterjee has asked, what are the major impediments that you think are delaying the breakthrough for sustainability and ESG as an economically profitable market? I mean, you mentioned general problems, but what are root obstacles that are slowing the growth of sustainability as a serious aspect of an industry and not just using the word sustainability as a fashion ethos?
Good question. Good question, Geetika. I'm going to take this. Again, as I mentioned, it has to be top down. There's no doubt about it. But there's always a pressure between capital appreciation, versus sustainable practice, right? Let us say if I personally am investing into a company in stock market, buying an equity, whatever it is, right? I'm only interested in those fancy financial numbers, but at the end of the day, what I mean is, how's my value capital appreciating year on year, right? And there is absolutely no indicator whatsoever from a sustainability standpoint on any of these websites that you go, right? So I think it's very important, for us to measure that. And that's what the biggest impediment, if you look at it. A CXO's, KRA should be the sustainable growth and not just the growth, right? So if you look at it, I think I forgot to cover and tell it that Danone is one company, which actually linked their performance incentives with the sustainable impact that CXOs have. Okay. So I think, as you've mentioned, there is not a lot of capital that needs to be committed to be sustainable. So again, there's a lot of education that needs to be imparted to the boardroom, saying that you can still take small initiatives that can go a long way. Okay. But again, most of the opportunity still is at a place where companies can afford to do their sustainability journeys. It could be fad. I think fad is fine. Fashion is good. I'm okay to sort of say that, this is what we've done and, this changed through, and we want to keep that, on. But as I mentioned, I think having a top-down approach helps. And in India, I would say the top 1,000 listed companies are talking a lot about it. But as I mentioned, startups, the new age startups, take it very naturally. So there are opportunities out there. It's just that we have to connect to those opportunities because they're not available out there. Nobody's going to go post saying what should I do from a sustainability standpoint.
And I feel groups like us have to break that fashion or that fad. It is a way to live life in a new way, or to conduct business in a new way. So I think gradually, as more conversations happen, it won't be a fashion statement. It will be the way we have to move forward or be sustainable, I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I think, Punita, a lot of us use this word sustainability. And when we talk to the boardrooms, right, we talk about having a sustainability committee, as just Kumar mentioned, to say that, like, what's the difference? We already have a CSR committee. Why do we need a sustainability committee?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's very important for boards, or be it a listed, unlisted, MSME, whatever it is, for them to understand what exactly sustainability is, right? I mean, we talk so much about it, and how many of us actually use plastic bottles?
True, true.
One-time plastic, everything, right? So what is actually stopping us from
Yeah.
not using them?
Yeah. True.
Right? So
That's
if
why,
a small thing like that is actually, we are not able to stop that. Imagine, a company like, Tata or Unilever or Reliance or anything, it would be difficult for them to take that decision because it's always some kind of a monetary thing or some kind of other impact attached to it. I think we've always been gaga about how Tata is, but we've never talked so much about Reliance or, the Jio thing, because there is a difference between a leader and a businessman. Right?
Yeah,
So
true.
you're in here to make that money out of the thing. So I think that is one main aspect stopping you from making, such a... Slowly we move to organic food. I think
Yeah.
sustainability so will take its turn in, over the next decade.
So true.
Our goal again is to sort of convert this into a capital benefit for individuals. That's how we see it. That's what the key driver. And all we are looking through when we are having these opportunities to reach out, to the community like this. I didn't know Mr. Prasad, did put in the chat saying that there's a ESG conclave happening in Hyderabad. Very nice to hear that there are conclave.
They've been asking us to do one in Hyderabad, Bangalore. So we are planning, and we'll take their support only. I always tell them this network is not ours, it's all of us together. So we'll be doing, so they are requesting you both also to join in
Oh yeah,
Hyderabad
anytime.
whenever it happens. Yeah.
We don't mind even traveling. It doesn't have to be Hyderabad as well, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
always okay to keep the green flag high.
True, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So any other questions? Mokshika, I think Ms.
No,
Geetika, her hand was raised.
Yeah. So no more questions for today, but
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Please, Punita, go ahead.
Thank you all for taking out time on Saturday. I hope we did justice to the time you spent here. But great presentation from your side, Mr. Kumar and Dr. Madhulika, and we look forward to more interactions. And any last words you have for us before we close? Dr. Kumar, Mr. Kumar, Dr. Madhulika, any last words you have for us as piece of advice?
Oh, from my end, I've been part of this Indian ESG group for a few months now. And I think every day morning I see all these chats happening about, and it's really nice to be a part of the group in itself in terms of understanding, a lot of people actually talking about sustainability every day. Right. And whenever those discussions happen, I kind of learn something out of it. And I always see towards, what can we do? Right. So it's been a pleasure being a part of this Indian ESG network, and it's been a pleasure presenting to you all what actually Boardshire and RSG has been doing and will continue to do so. Any kind of collaboration, synergies, or any knowledge sharing things that you would like to do with us, please feel free. I'm already there on the WhatsApp group. You can just ping me personally or on the group to have a discussion and take it further.
Sure. Thank you so much.
I want to leave the group with one idea.
Sure.
I really want to sort of create a unified sustainability committee, a common committee which all companies can use. right? Because we
Mm.
have so many sustainability professionals here, right? I think my recommendation is to really have a committee of sustainable professionals who are part of it, and start offering services of these committees, to companies where we can help companies build sustainability committees like this. But I think we should together, sort of put through and, sort of, have a committee sort of a thing where we are talking about sustainability, overall for India.
True. Great advice. Great. Thank you so much. I think they found your sustainability committee quite insightful. Mr. Abhishek has mentioned that. So
Thank you, Mr. Abhishek.
it's a great step forward.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Looking forward to more webinars. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and have a good
great
weekend.
weekend.
Have a good weekend. Thank you.